Almost anywhere in Mississippi is awful. Someone said that once in a comment a long time ago, and it always really stuck with me. I don't know if they live here or they were just trolling, but I never knew if they were right or wrong because I hadn't really been here before. After driving around all of Mississippi for a week, I can now say that's not true. The whole state's not awful. I had seen enough of the state to know that there was a lot of good here. But man, Jackson is bad. So I was just driving around Jackson trying to check the place out, and he came across this street in the middle of town. Well, I don't even know if you can even call this a street anymore. A road, maybe. I mean, people were weaving back and forth to avoid the potholes like it was just a normal day for them. I was like, this is probably the worst road I've ever driven on. And I had to finally just get out of the car. This was just too much. It looked like a major disaster had just hit the place, but that didn't happen. Then a guy pulls up. His name's Chris. You'll meet him later. He didn't want to be on camera at the time, but the stuff he told me, man, oh man.
What the fuck? You know, this is an age-old infrastructure system. If they go back and do the research, this thing probably hadn't had any type of significant, upgrade in forever. Probably since, I hate to say it, since the city was ran by white people. And maybe it needs to go back to that.
Jackson, Mississippi was the last place I stopped on my Deep South road trip. I'm kind of glad it was the last stop. If I had started here, it would have been a really bummer way to begin. Jackson, Mississippi. It was my final day on my Deep South adventure, and on this day, it really felt like an adventure. So I was here in early April, and the area got hit by a really intense, rare, almost hurricane thing. So I had to spend the day driving around in the super bad weather. So I apologize in advance for the footage. Driving into the worst hoods is hard enough, but in the pouring rain, on roads that are just terrible, well, think of this as war footage. I had heard there was a dark cloud hanging over Jackson. I guess this is it, right? God. What is happening? So I drove around all the areas of Jackson where people told me were the worst. And man, they weren't lying. I saw so many streets that had burned out homes and everything was overgrown. I've been to a lot of bad places in this country, and halfway through the day's drive, I was like, I think I hit the ghetto gold mine. Jackson has all sorts of issues. It's the capital of what's been called the worst state you can live in. There's less than 150,000 people here now, and that's down 25% just from 1990 alone. Sure, there's other big-ish cities in the U.S. that are in bad shape. Detroit, Baltimore, Philadelphia. But those cities have an industry and pride and some kind of hope. Nuh-uh. Not here. Not in Jackson. Not at all. What's up?
Hey,
Hey, honey.
would you let me have $1.15?
Where I am right now is in South Jackson. There really isn't a bad pocket in Jackson. It's very, very much a north-south thing. Like everything north of downtown seems to be decent. We'll see that later. But everything south of downtown is a complete disaster. For one, Jackson has one of the highest murder rates in the world. The only two other cities with a higher murder rate were Tijuana, Mexico, and Caracas, Venezuela. Oh my God. The state's governor himself just called Jackson the murder capital of the world. He'd know. He's here every day. Look at that murder rate. It's pretty easy to get a gun here, and as long as you're 18, you can carry one. So a lot of people here have guns, and that's caused a lot of problems. A few years ago, Jackson's mayor made it illegal to openly carry. You can imagine how that went. This is Mississippi, damn it. That didn't last long. If you get into trouble here, it can take hours for the cops to respond. I heard in some parts of Jackson, it's pandemonium. There's gunfights at gas stations, and they're breaking into pharmacies to steal pills. It's just chaos. Be glad that's not happening where you live. It just looks like the end of the world in here. And there's all these gangs moving up from New Orleans and Memphis that are coming in to try to set up new turf. And that makes it all even worse. They know they need more cops, so they upped the pay to $30,000 a year. Can you imagine getting paid that to work in here as a cop? This was where they fought for civil rights, and now they're killing each other. As you can imagine, at night, this place is nowhere a white boy with a YouTube channel should be. But this was early morning and it was raining, so everybody was inside. But I'm sure shit goes down here on blocks every single day. I don't think a lot of these people will ever get out of here. Somebody once told me Jackson, Mississippi is like a prison without walls. Part of the problem is it's just super poor here. But I didn't have to tell you that. You can see that. Maybe 1 in 3 people here in this part of town lives on welfare alone. You know the saying, here in Mississippi, they're first on every bad list and last on every good list. And a lot of that comes from Jackson. But it wasn't the danger that stood out to me on the days I drove through South Jackson. It was the condition of the place. I've been to third world countries before, but the stuff I saw here was worse. I'm not kidding. Hell, it's like this everywhere. Now, I hardly ever get out of the car when I'm in a bad area, but I just had to on several occasions. You're just driving around, and then you come across these huge potholes just right in the middle of the road where the residents have marked them to warn people. I mean, that's like 4 feet deep. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Somebody planted a tree there in a pothole and it's growing. Jesus, I just bottomed out. I just bottomed out on that road. The frame hit the street. Oh my God. This is tragic. Look at this. There's something like this on every single street in town. With all the rain, it just makes it all worse. Some of Jackson's roads are so bad, they might as well be gravel now. Here's that main street again I showed you earlier. I don't know how you fix all this. It's like they've stopped even trying. And then there's the water situation. You could do a whole video on that. Jackson's water system is all old and overwhelmed, so they have to boil their water. Sometimes the tap water comes out brown. Sometimes they don't get any water at all. Or their water bills triple for no real reason. It's been a thing here for decades, and it's getting worse. Right here in a capital city in the good old USA. One day driving around, I came across a block where the sewer was leaking into the streets. I've never seen that anywhere else I've been. There sure are a lot of things here that I haven't seen before. I've heard there's a bunch of money sitting there to fix all this, but nobody knows if that'll ever happen.
They never purchased trucks.
The city established temporary trash drop-off locations, but there's still a large amount of uncollected garbage in all 7 wards. The state DEQ says the dumping sites made available don't meet state requirements, and the city is facing a $25,000 penalty each day until the issue is resolved.
And the newest problem here is the trash. As if the water crisis isn't enough, Jackson's dealing with sanitation problems. Seems the city can't agree on a contract with their trash collection company, so, well, no one's picking up the trash. Now, when I was here, the trash contract mess was a few weeks in, and it got worse after I left. But there was trash everywhere, on the sides of the road, in the middle of the road, in big piles like this one. I don't know how I feel about this. I guess this is the city's fault, but do they have to come down here and throw in a big pile like this? And this was in the decent part of town too. They're going to have a rodent problem and a bug problem too to go along with their trash and road problem. Here's another one. I was just looking at another rundown part of town, and then I turned a corner and it was just everywhere, just in the middle of this neighborhood. I can't believe people think this is okay. This just about sums it up. We have all these problems with crime, potholes, dilapidated buildings, and we're putting our effort and energy into garbage, one local guy said. Oh yeah, in case you haven't heard, there's a syphilis outbreak in town too. Unbelievable. So take all of this, the infrastructure and the chaotic crime and the corruption, it's bad enough. But that's not all. Every block you turn down in the south side of town, stuff's broken and abandoned, everything's empty. And I'm not just talking about the homes, I mean the retail space. Everywhere you go in Jackson, things are closed down. Entire strip malls here look like a bomb went off. I turned a corner and found this on the south end of town. The whole place shut down, and then got vandalized, and then burned to the ground, and then squatted in. They just need to knock all this stuff down. But where's the money for that? They can't even keep the water on, the trash picked up. And all over the place it's like this. No shit. Who would invest in this place? Mother Nature's taking Jackson back, and it doesn't look like anybody here has the ability to stop her. Of course, the old mall's empty now, but it's like that in most of our cities. I was over there checking that out, and then I saw there was another huge pile of trash that people had started. It looked like a cop was guarding it, or making sure nobody added to it. I'm not sure what was happening there. Even the churches were closed down here. And this is the deep south. where religion's all a lot of these people have. Even the foreign churches are closed. This church just burned down one day. I saw all of this in just one day of driving around Jackson without really anybody to guide me on where I should go. You don't really need to know where to go. You just drive around. It's right in front of you. It's everywhere. I saw liquor stores that were closed down. That's a sign that things are super bad if they can't make it. There were stray dogs all over the place. That was tragic. And then this guy or girl, I was getting footage of another dumpster, and I was like, wait, what is that? What is happening in this country, people? And all of this, and they have these Keep Jackson Beautiful signs all over. What are they talking about? The poor kids, the schools are terrible. A lot of the teachers have to work second jobs. What have we come to when our teachers have to pick up shifts? Like, seriously, how did that happen? People in town say this is going to be the next Flint, Michigan. Driving around, I think it's already there now. The problem started in the 70s when Mississippi desegregated their schools. A lot of people didn't like that. So the wealthy families took their kids out to the burbs. And then the place just went downhill. A lot of businesses closed. The mall closed. All of this was a pretty busy little neighborhood one time. Now there's hardly anything left for blocks. And this is just a few blocks from downtown. The kids here just don't have anything to do, so they get into crime. The adults have some options here, and downtown's actually not a disaster or anything. It's not a very big downtown, but it's not too bad. Jackson has some homeless people, but I didn't see very many of them. The culture and history here is really strong, especially the music history. They call this the city with soul because of the blues and gospel and folk and jazz. They also have a bunch of museums that talk about all the good and bad things that have happened here over time. And there are some good, humble, happy, hardworking people in town. You'll see a lot of that when you're downtown. I didn't want you to think the place was completely crazy. And downtown's where the state capitol building is, which is under construction. You can read into that how you want. I can say it was the only construction project I saw in the entire city. A lot of people say Jackson's corrupt, and that corruption is a big part of the problem here. I don't know about that, but I know there's a lot of controversy with the decisions being made here. Not too long ago, they announced that the state was going to have to step in and take over the policing of Jackson. And a lot of people here didn't like that. That's because Jackson is 80% black, and the state legislature inside that building is mostly white. Anyways, the NAACP is involved in this now, and there's never a dull day here in Jackson, I suppose. So it's not a complete mess here. I showed you downtown already. And some of Jackson's decent. Here's just an average part of town. In a lot of the city, you can get a house in the $80,000 to $90,000 range, and that makes it pretty much one of the cheapest cities in the country. A lot of these people are just trying to stay out of the way, just trying to make by. And the north side isn't too bad. They have a commercial neighborhood up here called Fondren that's pretty nice. It's kind of an up-and-coming area in an otherwise dying city. It's a very small entertainment district with some restaurants and some stuff to do. This is where most of the hospital professionals and business people stay when they're in town. And this is where I stayed. There's only a few decent hotels in the entire city. Little Fondren's just about the only great part of town left anymore. Like that corner of the cheese that isn't yet moldy. You can tell they're pretty worried about the bad side creeping in. I saw high-tech security cameras in the main shopping center. Most of the neighborhoods on the north end are some form of middle or upper middle class. This is what that looks like. Up here, homes are around $350K. I heard these neighborhoods are hiring private security guards to patrol their streets. There's government jobs in Jackson, there's hospital jobs, and this is home to Jackson State University, so there's opportunities here. I think that's where a lot of these people must work. And then you go way up north of Jackson, and it's really nice. Up here's Madison. It's only 20 minutes away, but it feels like a separate state. One website actually called Madison the 7th best city to live in the whole country. It's just a super nice posh burb with tree-lined streets, good schools, and no crime. The complete opposite of Jackson. I mean, look at the Taco Bell here. They don't put Taco Bells up like that in the hood. Nuh-uh. When I was out and about in Jackson, I didn't really go too far from my hotel, just because there's really nothing to do here. I was told to go to the Iron Horse Grill. People said it's one of the most iconic restaurants in Jackson, but it's burned down like 5 times before. I was like, no thank you. So I just kind of wandered around Fondren at night. One evening, I wound up at Zundo Ramen Bar. I got some amazeballs pork dumplings with that soft bread, and a good old ramen bowl. And the second night, I went to Thai-licious and had some crab rangoons. I also got some yellow curry. I wish it was more exciting here, but that's all I got, folks. I think it was on that second day in the rain, right around the time my car bottomed out on that broken up road in the hood, that I thought, you know what? I think Jackson, Mississippi's the worst place I've ever been. Worse than Baltimore, worse than Shreveport and Pine Bluff, even Oakland. It was a really terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I came down to the South knowing I'd see a lot of poverty and crime and the results of decades of political missteps. But man, and the thing is, you don't really hear about Jackson a lot. It's kind of an under-the-radar disaster. On my last night here, I looked out the window from the hotel and I saw the cops all stationed in Fondren. It kind of reminded me of in a battle. You know, when the tanks patrol the only turf they have left to protect. You know, since everything else has been taken, like they're holding their ground. I don't think this is a red or a blue problem. It's a green one. There's just not enough of it to fix the place. I don't know what Jackson's gonna do. I don't know what they can do here. Except hold on for the ride. But yeah, so I wanted to talk to you. How long have you lived in Jackson?
My whole life.
Okay. Now, when I reached out to you, I think I found you on Craigslist. I was like, hey, I'm doing a video about Jackson. I went to Jackson. There's a lot of problems with Jackson. I know. I stopped and talked to some people that I met in town. They were frustrated by some of the progress that's being made.
Right.
How do you feel about how Jackson's going?
I think it's terrible. I just can't believe we even got to this point. I've lived in Jackson / Byram last 20 years. So as far as the water goes, like living on that, that line, when they have water issues, we do. Um, that can cause stress and chaos and tension in the household because we're all frustrated. We have no water, having to use bottled water to flush the toilets, to wash face, brush our teeth, everything. It's very stressful, honestly. And that, like I said, causes in my household, it causes tension and drama, and we all just trying to keep the peace. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot. It's a lot. But thankfully, we haven't had to deal with the garbage fiasco. I didn't have to deal with that, but my coworkers did. Um, they was frustrated with that. I mean, that was just ridiculous in itself. So, you know,
I
that's
mean, yeah, it like the water situation. I know the trash, the roads,
yes.
the crime and stuff. I'm like, what does Jackson need to do to get itself back to its glory days again?
Right. The crime. I hate leaving the house at night. I have a 3-year-old son, so I don't even take him out anywhere. It's times where I don't even stop and realize, certain times, certain parts of Jackson. Um, every day on the news, my news app is another shooting, somebody else being murdered. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, it's terrible. But I just can't bring myself to move. Like, I gotta take the bad with the good. I love it, but I do fear of being carjacked or robbed or anything like that. That is one of my fears.
How did it get to this point in Jackson?
I really don't know. I would say my coworkers say the pandemic, but I feel like we was kind of headed down there before COVID hit. I really don't know. Maybe COVID just brought everything to the surface. But I know that's like in my apartment complex during the pandemic. That's when like the carjackings started and the robbery started was during March 2020. So I don't know.
I mean, is it to a certain point that that you can't elect people that, I mean, it's been a problem that's just getting worse. Is
Right.
it is it a political leadership thing, or is it a residence thing? Everyone needs to just be like, enough's enough. Like, we need to get the city
Yes.
back to where it needs to be.
I feel like it's a little bit of both. I'm not happy with the mayor. I don't think he's getting reelected. I don't. I I'm not happy with nobody in office, even from the city council. I feel like it's too much back and forth. And I feel like they had personal issues and it's affecting the residents. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think it's personal between them. So I I don't like nobody in office right now. I can honestly say that. So um and the residents, I just feel like I don't know. I know everybody's fed up, everybody's tired. Um I feel like it's not enough for the youth. I mean, enough recreational activities, I guess, for the youth. So that's why they're crashing out, doing all of this. So it's both. It's both.
I, I mean, at a certain point, I mean, just the roads themselves are in terrible shape, and some of the
Yes.
neighborhoods and stuff. Do you
Yeah.
guys feel like you're just not even being respected or treated like normal people?
Yeah.
That everyone's
Yeah.
overlooking all the basic stuff that most cities have. You guys just don't have.
No, we don't. The potholes. I've had busted tires. I've almost had an accident trying to swerve the potholes in the roads down here. The the neighborhoods are just a sight sore. They're terrible. It's trash thrown everywhere, tires all in the on the side of the road in the neighborhoods. it really feels like it's a third world country. Like it's absolutely disgusting. Um, I don't even think it's healthy to breathe the air down here. You know what I'm saying? Like, even me and my mom was talking last night. We was like, we feel like the water is making us itch. You know, we was like, she says this. She said this morning it smelled funny. So it's just it really does seem like nobody care about us. It does seem like that. But at the same time, we've been here for so long, we can't just up and leave. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what to do. I do think that we need to elect somebody else. But I don't even know how that would even start. You know.
Can it get worse? I mean, I always ask people, what's the future of your city? What do you think? I mean, do you think it's going to get worse? I don't think driving around, I don't see how it can get much worse,
Mhm.
but apparently it is getting worse there.
Mhm. I don't. I don't feel. I don't know. I don't think it could get any worse. I hope it don't. I pray it don't. But I mean, it kind of seemed like they're trying to like push us out. I don't know, like force us to move. I don't know. It's weird. I don't. Um. So I know my mom wants to move out of Jackson. Um. That's easier said than done. So I don't it the changes that need to be made, like it's just so much. I don't know where to start, but I know that they have been having like trash pickups on the weekends. That's a start. Um the crime, I think that's you know, our police force is the numbers are low. So
Yeah,
it's
nobody wants to be a cop there.
yeah, that's
I heard they pay $30K to be a cop in Jackson.
it ain't that low. It can't be that
That's what I heard. I don't know.
it can't be that low. But if it is, I see why we don't have none. And the few that we do have, it take forever for them to come out. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the cops are crooked here anyway. It's like I don't know. It's terrible. I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I noticed that there was construction going on at the um, Capitol building. They got all that. They're doing all that, but then they can't fix y'all's roads and all your stuff.
exactly.
They can fix.
It's exactly like I say all the time. They fix some roads that don't even need to be fixed. Like they working on a bunch of nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like Gallatin Street is right there. You know what I'm saying? Terry Road. It's so much more that they could be working on besides what they're choosing to. It's like they just don't care. Like we just a last resort. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think they care at all about anything, to be
Hmm.
honest. I mean,
I
you can
know.
tell, and it's like I don't know what it's going to take for y'all to. I mean, the protesting, standing outside, demanding
Hmm.
change, whatever it is that needs to be done.
Hmm.
Because I don't think it's going to change until you guys all are like, we've had it.
Exactly. 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 And like I said, I think they just want us to leave so they won't be forced to have to, fix things. You know what I'm saying? Like we already don't have much, like all the businesses are leaving, closing down. Um, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about good. What's good about Jack's? There's some good stuff there, right?
We got some good food. We have some good food, very good food. We got some good establishments. One of my favorite places I like to go to Iron Horse. That's off Gallatin Street.
I saw that. Yeah, someone told me they
Yes.
keep burning down though.
No, Iron Horse Grill, and I like the fact that they have the live music. Food is good, drinks are good. Um, yeah, so I would say the food is good. The museums here are nice. Like the Children's Museum and the park there. That's very nice. I love that. So yeah, we got some good stuff. But most of the good stuff is kind of like on Lakeland towards, out of
Well,
leaving Jackson, right? Even Jackson, yep.
Well, you just hang in there and try to get your people to like stand up and say something, and
Right.
maybe this will help. I mean, a lot of people are going to see it.
Okay.
You have to put pressure on people, but y'all, like, I feel bad, man, and
Right.
you guys are just at a point now that you've settled in, and you're just like, oh
Mhm.
well, another bad thing, and
Right.
that's just not a good place to be.
No, it's not. But you know, I could just hope it gets better. Yeah.
Like the water, the fucking trash, dude. They gotta get this shit all fixed.
It's terrible. It seems like the city is going in reverse order. They spend so much time bickering, and, you know, and it's been studies that has been done and saying that this place is the most corrupt place out of the entire union. And at some point in time, the federal government must step up. If the city can't do it, if the state can't do it, they can't get along to come to a solution versus bickering, you know. Someone has to take control of this thing, you know, and ultimately I think it's up to the federal government to make them do the right thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Who's bickering?
Huh?
Like
the city,
the politics?
Yeah, the politicians. They sit up there, they comfortable, you know. You know, the local government, they bickering with each other. Then the local and the state government, they blaming, they pointing fingers at each other. You know, this is an age-old infrastructure system. If they go back and do the research, this thing probably hadn't had any type of significant, you know, upgrade in forever. Probably since, I hate to say it, you know, since the city was ran by white people. And you know, and maybe it needs to go back to that. Hey, we're all human. What's best for the city, that's what we need to go for. Regardless of color, we need to get off of color, you know, and we need to hold these politicians accountable. When we elect these people, we elect them with the assurance that they're gonna do what they said they're gonna do, you know. But so many times, you know, they have gotten elected and they have done nothing, and it's honestly, it's discouraging. You know, it's very discouraging, you know.
Is that why the crime is so bad too?
That's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
Of course, that's part of the reason why. You know, they look at the education, look at the disparity between the educational systems, you know. Hey man, if you go just, I hate to say it, go to Madison. Those schools look like colleges. They're getting funded, you know. Here, they say they fund them based on attendance. You see they shutting down the schools around here. There's 2 schools right here that shut down. Rowan Middle School, Brown Elementary, side by side. So not only is that these academic institutions are being shut down, now it's a haven for crime. Now it's an eyesore. You know, it's a ripple effect, you know, and a city's gonna only do so much. Now here go the trash problem. Now more businesses talk about leaving the city.
Who?
More businesses.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about leaving the city. You know, something got to be done, man. Who you with?
I got a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I could draw some attention to it.
Yeah, something has to be done, man. You know, on all levels. You know, the federal government got to step. They're gonna have to step up. You know, this is the problem. Look at that.
Are you gonna stay? Because a lot of people are leaving.
I'm gonna stay. I've been here all my life.
So you just want? I mean, it just needs.
Why should I have to leave? Why should I have to pick up my bags and leave? It's almost like dislocation. Force everyone out. Don't do anything. Don't force them out physically, but the lack of service, the lack of security, the lack of basic needs, drive people away, then come back, rebuild it at such a high rate that, you know, buy cheap, sell high. There's no solution. No solution in play for the near future. So this thing is going to linger for months and months and months. The summer is about to approach. These mosquitoes are about to get vicious. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of sick. It's going to be a lot of the, you know, a health issue. A health issue. You know, You know, it's gonna be a health issue, man, an environmental issue. You know, when it's gonna start affecting the water. It's gonna start affecting the clean water system.
Well, the water's already fucked up anyway, right?
Already. And what solutions? They don't have any type of plan for that. You know, the streets crumbling, no plan for that. So, I don't know. I ain't leaving though. I'm not leaving. I'm not packing up my bags and leaving. No, no. We gonna fight.
Good.
We gonna fight.
Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.